What's going on, y'all? We are back for another episode of the regular podcast with your host, with your host Kilo.
It's real.
You know, back again, man. It's been a week full of good news. Not good news, but I'm saying there's been a lot of news. It's good news because life is good, but there's been a lot of news, a lot of stuff been going on, and it's hectic, man. Make sure before we get into anything, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, comment, all that good stuff, right? Subscribe to the regular podcast on YouTube. I appreciate that. So let's get right into it. The YSL trial still been going on. I've been following that. It's a super interesting trial to me. Super interesting criminal case as a whole, but the trial is very interesting. We got more, it feels like 1,000 objections. Like this has been taking forever because the defense is objecting to everything and the judge is saying no to everything, pretty much overruled. So this week we got more cops being brought into the trial to testify about old crimes that seem to mean nothing. And I realized something I realized as I'm watching this thing is that I think I figured it out. Right? Shout out to Blasey. This is $1 million. This is with the $1 million in all $100 bills. This is the exact replica of what it would look like. It's actually a piggy bank. You can put your money up here at the top. You can take your money out at the bottom if you need to, but it's all ceramic. It's heavy duty. So I like to keep it with me for motivation, right? Shout out to Blasey's, right? So I think I figured out what's going on and why they keep on bringing up all these frivolous, meaningless cases, especially these cases that they keep bringing up from 10 years ago, 11 years ago, from criminals or from suspects that are not even part of this case. I realized what's going on. All these minor drug offenses and these minor receiving a stolen property when somebody gets caught with a gun that was stolen, they're bringing it up because they're going to bring those people in that got convicted of those crimes. They're going to bring them in and they're going to testify that, yes, I committed those crimes. Yes, I'm part of YSL. And yes, I had that stuff in furtherance of our gang. It's pretty much just one big tactic to set up for the snitches later on. So they have to introduce all of this evidence about these other people who are not relevant, really, not yet. They have to bring all this stuff in and they have to, what has been said more times than I ever heard in a criminal case, lay some foundation, as the judge keeps on telling them. They've been laying all of this foundation so that when they bring these people in to testify against Young Thug and YSL, they're going to say, yes, I had that gun. Yes, I was using it to protect our territory from rival gangs. And these are my crimes. And this is how I furthered the gang with those stolen guns that mean nothing to anybody else, but they're about to mean something. So I figured it out. I see where they're going. I see why the prosecution is so persistent and consistent when it comes to continuously bringing these people in to talk about what seems like nothing. 2 grams of weed, 8 grams of weed, 20 grams of bath salt. Like, why is that a RICO case? But I get it. Once they get to the murder trial from the murder situation from 2015, where Young Thug rented the car and then somebody supposedly killed the young man out of that car. Once they get there, I feel like they have, what I'm thinking, I'm assuming they have great evidence that says Young Thug was involved with calling the shots on that murder, right? And I think they're going to use that as their big hot button situation to get the jury to then believe that everything else they brought up in the trial that seems frivolous is tied to him. And these are the type of shots that he calls. He calls these type of shots. They might not seem big to us, but they help out their criminal enterprise as a whole. And all of these people use this weaponry. And just in case they have to go take out a murder on somebody at the behest of their leader, Young Thug or Jeffrey Williams, aka King Slime, as they've been calling him. Some people call him in that whole case, right? So I get it now. It's just a matter of, will the jury go for it? Is the jury going to go for it? I honestly, if they didn't have that 2015 murder situation, Young Thug is walking out of there easy. But when the jury hears that evidence that they have in the shooting in 2015, the murder in 2015 out of a car that Young Thug rented, and when they look at the text messages and when they hear the testimonies from other people that were involved in that shooting, I'm interested to hear how the state presents that, to see how good it sounds and how convincing it is. Now, one thing that we know about during the opening statements, they brought up that murder and they brought up the fact that the state looked at it before, and they looked at a group of 4 men who were supposedly suspects in that murder, and they let them all go because they found out that the person pretty much snitching on those 4 people, they found out he was lying. Excuse me. They found out that that person was lying, and they found out that pretty much all of them was lying. So they threw the case. They got rid of the case. So nobody has been tried in a trial, in a court trial, for that murder right there. So it's pretty much just open still. And I'm assuming that the defense is going to do the same thing that happened before, is all of the people that testify against Young Thug, Kenneth Copeland being the main one, against Young Thug in that 2015 murder, the defense is going to try to make them look like liars again. They're going to say these people are only saying this because they wanted to get out of Fulton County. They started out the whole trial with their opening statements talking about Fulton County blues. They probably went on a 15-minute soliloquy about the Fulton County blues, which is the uniform that inmates have to wear in a Fulton County jail. And they talked about how desperate a lot of those inmates are and how they're pretty much willing to do anything to get out. And that's why they're going to be testifying against Young Thug in a criminal murder that he had nothing to do. Well, what they say he had nothing to do with, they're going to testify to that fact or that story because they just wanted to get out of the Fulton County blues, right? So the defense is going to try to make these people seem like liars. I don't think that the state has any other evidence pointing to a RICO case or pointing to a conspiracy other than that shooting. Maybe if you want to say, I think they had some text messages or something like that about somebody stabbing wife and Lucci in jail, and somebody asked Young Thug for permission to try again, pretty much. I think they have that. I don't know if the message is directly with Thug, and then I think they had messages from Young Thug saying, y'all getting soft, y'all ain't killed them yet, or something like that. So that's like a small thing, especially if nobody actually died. It's like that's not a hit for real. But the murder thing, I think they're going to use that, and it's going to sound so, I think the state is assuming it's going to sound so bad that it'll make the jury believe that he's tied to everything in the case. That's my assumption as to what they're doing. So anybody who's been paying attention, anybody's been watching this trial on Law and Crime, the YouTube channel, you hear all of these lawyers also saying the same thing I'm saying, which is none of this stuff is connected to this RICO case. And they're all confused as to how they're going to tie it in and make it a RICO. And I think I cracked the code. So everybody stay tuned to that. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. I could be wrong. Who cares? But I think I'm right about that. I think that's what they're going to do. Now, if anybody has been watching also, you notice that this judge is a lot more feisty than any judge really that I've ever been familiar with. I've watched cases and been in courtrooms and all that type of stuff. I've never really seen a judge or heard a judge really talk the way this guy is talking. So I wanted to do a little digging just because I wanted to figure out who is this guy? And his name is Earl Glanville. Now I just want to say, right, this gentleman has probably one of the blackest old school black names I've heard, right? Because I'm saying Earl, but it's not Earl like EARL. It's URAL. So this old school Earl Glanville. So that's his background. Okay. So they say he was born in Columbus, Ohio. So, I have to shout him out. I'm from Ohio. So shout out to him, black man, judge. And he went to University of Georgia. Then he joined the Army Reserves, did that for a long time, 33 years, they say, as a reservist. And he went back to law school, graduated from law school in, I believe they said 87. And pretty much he started to work as a lawyer from there, a lot of military work. And then he became an actual magistrate in 1996. So essentially, he's been sitting in that judge spot since '96. So he has a lot of history. And I'm assuming his lengthy history is the reason they gave him this case this big. Huge case. He's a military guy. He don't really take a lot of crap. He'll tell you to shut up in his courtroom. You see him early. Remember some months ago, he was telling people, hey, write me a 10-page essay. If you don't do it, I'm sending you to jail. This is that guy. So he barking on everybody, yelling at the prosecution, yelling at the defense, asking them why they're not doing what he said. He's really in there acting like I've never seen a judge act before. And I'm not really mad at him. It's interesting. So it made me want to look him up. He's highly decorated as a judge. He still seems like he has all his faculties. So he'll probably be a judge for another 20 years, maybe. I don't know if you want to retire, but some people stay judges for a long time. And, but yeah, I just thought that his story was interesting. I thought y'all might want to know too. This is a military guy. So this is why he's behaving the way he's behaving up in there. All right. Also, I think they said a professor also. So he has an extensive, as do most judges, but he has an extensive background and knowledge of the law. So it's very interesting. Another person I thought was interesting I wanted to look up was Brian Steele, who was the lead attorney in this whole defense trial, this whole defense for Young Thug, right? And so I go look him up, and of course I'm going on the website. I'm on the internet. Yo, I want y'all to go look up Brian Steele's website. Just go to Google, type Brian Steele lawyer Atlanta or Atlanta lawyer, right? Look up this man's website. Hey, Brian Steele, I don't know if this video is gonna get to you. I'm gonna probably post it and tag you. You probably have the worst website I've seen in the last 10 years. I don't understand how you're such a high dollar lawyer, and I know you are a high dollar value lawyer. It costs a lot of money to book you and to retain you. And you've been working with Young Thug for a while. You've done high profile murder cases, sex crime cases, child porn cases. You done worked on all these type of things. So you are a high powered lawyer, but you have a terrible website. Like, why has your website, as far as the UI goes, not been updated since 2018? And really, in 2018, what your website looks like was not a standard website then. That shit looked like it came from 1998. Even whoever did your pictures on the website, they did a terrible job cutting you and your wife out to put over a fake background. This whole your website looks like a scam website. If I wasn't looking at you in the courtroom in this YSL trial, I would think you was a scammer. I wouldn't believe that you were a lawyer based on your website. You need to upgrade your website. And I'm not saying that because I can do it for you. I can, though, if you want to hire me. I'm saying that because the company that built your website for you, Duro Enterprises LLC, have them update your website for you. By the way, their website is out of date and terrible looking. So why are you hiring somebody to do your website when their own website is terrible? Now your website looks terrible as a $1 million lawyer in the state of Georgia. Come on, you got to fix that. I heard you was the best lawyer in the state of Georgia. Your website should not look like that. That shit is terrible, man. It's terrible. Y'all go look at it, because I don't want y'all to think I'm just trying to pick on him like I'm begging for work. Like, I don't build websites for a living. I can. I'm just saying if you need help with it. I don't do that for a living, so I'm not looking for no job from this guy. But I just need him to know, update that website. I know it's you and your wife. Maybe y'all consider y'all, whatever, man. Update that shit. It looks terrible. Now, I'm going to jump straight into, because it's the end of the year, and I want to get straight into my top albums of the year. I'm going to roll straight through this whole episode because there's a lot of points I want to hit on, and I don't want to take too much time trying to transition from thing to thing. Hey, real quick, though, before we do it, shout out to my man Marcus, y'all. Because y'all, if you've known me for years, I've been in the hats for a long time, right? I used to own a whole lot of hats. So many, I posting pictures on the internet. New Era, the company themselves, hit me up on Facebook and said, hey, can we use your picture? Like this, I used to be into that, really into it, right? This hat right here, people talk to me about this hat more than any hat I ever owned. This one right here, the one that's on my head. It's a M with an orange circle over top of the M. There's a Tasmanian devil and a world on the side. Triple M. Marcus, shout out to you, my boy. And shout out to you for letting me be a part of this whole situation right here. This specifically, you know what I'm saying? We was part of that. So this hat definitely gets the most compliments, the most everything out of any hat I ever owned. I don't own many thousands of dollars worth of hats. And this is the one, right? So shout out to my boy, man, Youngstown designer. He's living in the Atlanta area now. One of the coolest designers out there. Okay, so best music. This is now, when people try to do their top music of the year type list and all that, I feel like too many of y'all want your list to be popular. You want your list to be, all right, this is not the music that I listen to every day the most. This is the music that I think the most people will agree is the best music. I don't like that. I don't care if the most people agree that this is the best music. I'm just saying my top music of 2023. The word best is the same in this context as the word favorite because it's music, it's art, it's subjective. There's no such thing as the best music objectively. There's no objective best music. It's all subjective. So you can say favorite, you can say best. It's the same thing. If you're going to talk about sales, then that's not the best or the favorite. That's the highest selling. And we don't judge music like that. If you judge music by the sales, then we don't care about your opinion. When I say we, I mean me. I don't care about your music opinion if you judge music based on how many records are sold. So, best music, best albums of 2023. If you've been watching the regular podcast for years, you know I don't just go pick a random 10. That's not what I do. I pick the best albums, and however many I come up with, that's how long my list is. There's not 10 albums worthy of making a ranking list this year, as have been the case in many other past years, right? So I only have 7 this year, and I have 2 honorable mentions, right? So let me get to my honorable mentions. And it sucks that this young man passed away this year because he had, I feel like if he would have been alive to be able to push this album, he could have had one of the better performing albums and a great tour also this year. And it would be Lil Keed. Keed talked to him too. Now you put that on, that's one of them albums you put on, you throw on that and you ride to the club because it's going to get you turned up. It's a good project, man. It's a good project. It feels long and it is not cohesive or anything like that, but it is a good project and I like it. And I wish the young man would have been able to take that thing on the road because it's serious. It's like that. Another honorable mention that I have would be Falling or Flying by Georgia Smith. That's a very good album. I'm surprised that it didn't make more noise, especially from the people who normally bring up Georgia Smith's music, such as the Joe Budden podcast. It seemed like they kind of ignored it. I don't know what that's about. They don't normally do that, but they did this time. I think it's a good, very good project. Only reason it's in my honorable mentions and not in my rankings is because it never made me come back to it. So nothing about it made me come back to it. Probably because I was cool with the other singing albums that I had. But it is a very good album, though. It is. So I think y'all should go check that out. Now let's get into my rankings. Coming in at number 7, For God 2 by Rob 49. Soon as that album came out this year, I was like, I don't think I knew who he was really. But I just, for something about it, made me go to his, play his album. And I really normally don't do that if I don't know your name. And I don't think I knew his name, but I played it earlier this year. Great project, man. Great. I'll say great project for a new artist. It's not like an all-time great, but if you're a new artist and you're going to put together an album, it should be like that. There's good features from like up-and-coming people. You got voices from older legends and more veteran people in there. You have, it's just good production, some good rapping. He talking that street stuff, talking that thing for the ladies. It's just all around is good. I like it a lot. Shout out to the song with Roddy Ricch. I like Wode with Birdman. I like the intro. I like a lot of it. The album does not feel like it's too long. None of that. So I think y'all should go check that out. For God 2. That's my number 7 album of the year, 2023. Number 6, who I know some people going to have number 1, but this is all number 6 because the music is great. And I came back to it a few times, but I wasn't playing it constantly throughout the year. It was good. It's a great listen. It's good. And it's going to be Michael by Killer Mike. Now, good album, great album, some great sonics on there, great production on there, great rapping on there. Really, it's just an all-around good album. My favorite song on there is Shed Tears. And if you know me, I love a good choir in a rap song. So, I love that song, Shed Tears. There's featuring Mozzie, and it's featuring another young lady. And I'm gonna tell y'all something too. Give me a second. It's featuring Mozzie, right? Hold on. Let me pull up the young lady's name. Mozzie, and her name is Lena Bird Miles, right? So look, give me a second. Because that feature, now some people think like, oh, I'll be reaching it. I always think somebody got something from me. Listen, they did get that from me. When that album first came out, that young lady, Lena Bird Miles, her name wasn't mentioned as a feature. When the album came out, I tweeted on June 19th, my only issue with Killer Mike album is Shed Tears not having that vocalist called out by name as a feature. I know they are listed with the choir, but the voice needs to be counted as a feature with Mozzie. She bodied that. And shortly after, they added that lady's name as a feature. She was not a feature when the album originally came out. I might even pull up the track list, and so that y'all could see when they posted that track list with the features and all that, her name wasn't on there. Let me see if I can find someone. Make sure let me see. But y'all, Killer Mike's album is great, man. Killer Mike has a great project. It's just like I said, I didn't go back to it a whole bunch of times, so I'm not gonna put it in my top 3, top 2, nothing like that. But it is very good. But yeah, shout out to Lena Bird Miles. Her name got listed as a feature because of me. So look, I ain't had to go viral. That tweet only got 4 likes and a couple of replies or whatever. But one of the replies, somebody tagged that lady in my thread. She seen it, probably approached them and said, hey, that's right, yo, let me get my joint. And now she's listed as a feature because she for sure wasn't before. And my tweet is from June 19th, so we can't even act like, you know what I'm saying, I didn't just now say. As soon as I heard the album, I said, this lady is killing this song. This song is really being made by her vocals. You got to have her as a feature. This can't just be, oh, this choir. No. Her voice is too prominent on that song to not be a feature, right? So shout out to Killer Mike. Shed Tears is my favorite song on that album, man, for sure. Number 5 also might be some people's number 1. For All the Dogs by Drake. I think it's some great music on For All the Dogs, man. I know that it got a lot of backlash, caused a lot of uproar and all that good stuff. A lot of people calling it trash or mid, but then some people was calling it album of the year from the jump. I think it's a very good album. I think Drake did his thing. He did what he needed to do. What did he do? 500,000 first week. He's a numbers machine. He did what he was supposed to do. I know people had other expectations for that project, and they thought that For All the Dogs meant, I guess, he was going to be rapping the whole time. I don't know. Drake has never done that, so I don't get why we expected it. Plus, some of Drake's best music is him singing, so I don't get this whole like desire to hear Drake rap for a full album. I just feel like they want him to rap for a full album so they could tell him it's trash and tell him it's not good and he need to go back to doing what he been doing. Just like they do with everybody. They want to tell you, yo, do this other thing. And then when you do it, they're going to say, man, nah, stop doing that. Go back to what you like. So I'm glad Drake stick to what you do, Drake, which is make hits, break records, sell a lot of projects, sell a lot of albums, and get awards. I think you need to stick to that. You've been doing a good job for the last 15 years, and it really hasn't been 15 years. It really been the last 12. I know we always go back 15 years and act like Drake been on top since 2008. He hasn't been on top since 2008. Y'all forget that My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is 2010, and Kanye was way bigger than Drake at that time. Lil Wayne, Carter 4 did almost a million the first week. That was 2011, 2010, 2011. Drake was nowhere near that big at that time. So, yeah, so we start his run in 08, but his run on top didn't start in 08. Like, he didn't. It's another story for another day. But shout out to Drake. I think my favorite song on that album is Fear of Heights, though. First of all the people telling him that he need to stop dissing Pusha T, stop it. Be quiet. Rap beefs almost forever have lasted long. They have rarely ever been start with diss tracks and end with diss tracks that are directly back and forth at each other. No. Rappers, most of the time when they beef, have thrown bars and sub shots at each other long beyond when actual diss tracks have come out. So I don't get this whole like thing around, hey, Drake, he killed you with the story Addy Don, so you should never talk about him again. No. Keep talking about him, because Pusha is going to keep on talking about Drake. So I don't get why Drake wouldn't keep talking about Pusha. Like, if he did a song and Kanye begged him, yo, don't put it out, and Drake said, all right, I got enough respect for Kanye that I'm not going to put this out, then okay. But he could keep on dissing you. Like, there's no rule. Why y'all acting like Drake is breaking some type of hip-hop rule? Because he said F it back then, and now he's still dissing him. Like, yo, keep dissing him, man. I hope Pusha T keep dissing you too. I'm talking about music though. This whole other stuff that Drake been talking about, like rapping like he's a mob boss and all this type of stuff. I want him to stop that, because at some point the police are going to want to connect the dots. As you got a song called Daylight where you pretty much, I don't know how real or fake you are planning on being in the future, but on Daylight, it's this whole song is just based around your homeboy getting locked up because he shot somebody in daylight, and TPS think that I bought the body. All that, I'm glad they got somebody. All that type of stuff. It's almost like you've been a part of things. A lot of people in your hometown of Toronto are accusing you of being a part of a lot of heinous crimes, violent things that you've been part of, and murder, ordering hits and stuff like that. You've been escaping it, yet it's like you want people to know that you have something to do with crime. It's almost like you want. It's like you want to get caught, and it's. I see it in a lot of people. They want people to know that they're doing bad things, and it doesn't make sense, because that's not going to end well for you. Being that rich in prison is not a good look. So I don't understand why. Now that's one thing that I don't get, in that you didn't start your career out like that. You didn't get to the top like that. So why is that the element that you decided to add in? And maybe that's helping to extend your time at the top, because this is a new facet that fans are getting from you. This whole mob Drake. You even said on the album, I wasn't gangster till now. When did you get gangster? Even now, like, how you gangster now because of what? Because you're paying people to cause destruction in Toronto. All right, I just know that why it's like you begging to catch a case. Hopefully you're being fake. I'm hoping. But I got theories. Okay, number 4. The number 4 album is Utopia. I had when I was doing my list, I put my list together. I had Utopia and For All the Dogs number 4 together, because I was trying to figure out like which one is better than the other. I got Utopia better because, first of all, from top to bottom, there's not as much of a fall off as Drake has fall offs in the album. Not to say Drake's album falls off. I'm saying that there's high and real low spots on Drake's album. On Utopia, there's no real low spots to me. Like, it's smooth. You might see a dip somewhere, but it's back up the next song. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a high level song, and look how his tour is performing. Look how Travis Scott's tour is performing. The people love that music. I thought it sounded great. I thought it sounded big, stadium status. I thought the production sounded big. I thought the production was good. I think the features are good. I think he is not being outshined by anybody on any of the features. It's all great production on this album. I'm a production guy, so I like lyrics too, but lyrics don't get you a good album. You need that production to get a good album. So I think Utopia did what it was supposed to do. It brought Travis back because that Astro World tour situation or that festival show situation was like terrible. But the fact that he found venues that would allow him to work there, he found, and not just one or two venues, he just did a whole tour. So he found a lot of venues that was willing to work with him and trust that he wouldn't have another incident like that, which the incident that happened at the Astro World Festival was a freak incident. That's not normal for 10 people to die in the crowd while you're performing. So it's good that he's back on track now, man. The album is very solid. I say very good. It's a good album, man. What's my favorite song on there? Probably I Know. I'm actually glad now that I'm starting to hear the song I Know on the radio. Because that means that after all this time, they say, you know what? We've ridden the wave of whatever, the organic stuff. Now let's put some money behind this I Know song. Mellow song, cool vibe joint, and put it on the radio. So let's get a new hit out of a song that came out earlier in the year. So I'm rocking with that, man. Shout out to Travis for that. Now let's get into my top three. My top three would be, and these are just what I feel I like the best this year by far. I went back to these albums a whole bunch of times. Just good music. Feeling the Power by TF. Shout out to TF, man. You got the best album off the West Coast this year. TF is not a big major artist. He does have a deal with Roc Nation, like a distribution deal with Roc Nation. But this album is very good to me. For somebody that doesn't have a big budget putting together an album where he said he didn't pay for any features and all that, I think that this is a very good album. There's a lot of good rapping on there. You know, he's a LA rapper, you know, so they do a lot of storytelling. That's their thing. They vivid picture painters, especially a TDE affiliate. That's what they do. So I think that the Feeling of Power is good. One of my favorite songs on there, For the Low, of course. Y'all have to go check it out because it's not a big album, so you probably have never heard of either him or that album. For the Low is one of my favorite songs. The Hootie featuring Schoolboy Q, one of my favorites. It's a lot of good songs on there. I could really just name all of them. But yeah, man, y'all go check that out. Feeling the Power by T.F. Great album to me. And shout out to him, man. Maybe this is his time to blow up. You never know. You know what I'm saying? He did some time in prison, got out, and been grinding with the music ever since. So shout out to him. My number 2 album, and this has been my number 1 for most of the year, but as time goes on, I'm just like, damn, I'm listening to this other album more. But anyway, my number 2 album of the year of 2023 is Hard to Love by Moneybagg Yo. This is an album that I can't even tell you how many times I played that album since it came out this year. It came out like early summer, like mid-year, right? I've been playing this album, and my favorite song of the year is off of that album. It's called F My BM, right? And it say that, but it's not like an anti-baby mama song. I don't know why he really called it. He said that line in the song, but the whole song is not about that at all. So I don't even know why he named it that. But Hard to Love is a great joint from top to bottom to me. I like it. He even got some good songs with people like YTB Fat. He pretty much rolled them out on this album. Like, you know, Foxes, all them, you know, he got a little Dirt feature. He got a Future feature. You know, I just think it's a great collection of music. Even the songs that don't have any other musical features on there are great. Just him by himself. Great music. I like Ocean Spray. I like Show Lives. I like I like that whole album because like I said, it was my number 1 album of the year for most of the year, pretty much, or not most of the year, but you know, since it came out, when I first heard it, I was like, wow. And shout out to him because I normally don't normally like the Virgo rappers, but he's a Virgo and he fired. He's fire. I don't know what to say. Very fire, man. And that album is cold. I think he hit all of the topics. It's a very versatile, as far as content, it's a very versatile joint. One of his baby moms just died this year, so he's talking about that. He's talking about other friends that he lost. He's talking about Ari, his current relationship, and doing things right by her. He's talking about his lean addiction on there. He's talking about being a dad, talking about co-parenting. He's talking about the industry, friends that didn't remain loyal, all this type. He's talking about a wide range of things on this album. So shout out to Moneybagg Yo. Hard to Love, number 2, best album this year to me, right? And then my number 1 album of the year is Friday by Friday. Now, if you don't know who Friday is, which a lot of people don't because they don't, a lot of times you need to put a face with a name, and Friday is not highly visible like that. Friday is the guy on God Did with DJ Khaled and Jay-Z and Rick Ross. That's the voice on the hook. So Friday put his own album out, self-titled album, and it, to me, top to bottom, all great. The best thing about this album by Friday, it merges R&B, gospel, and Afro beats, like a perfect blend of those 3 genres. And we know that R&B has its roots in gospel, but he found a way that you could tell it's still gospel, not just R&B as it is derived from gospel. It's actually a good blend of modern gospel, modern R&B, and Afro beats. Great mixture, great collection of music. I think it's sequenced great. I think the production is great, which he's produced a lot of it too. And he's a writer. He's a ghostwriter for other people too, but he's a writer, so he wrote most of it, maybe all of it. I don't know. And the content and the lyrics are just great. I think that this is amazing. My favorite song on there is Stand By Me, but I got a few joints that I just love, right? Some good features on there too. You got Chris Brown, you got some African artists on there. I can't think of the names right now, but I think y'all should check that album out. I haven't heard any crazy sales numbers or stories about that. I don't know too much if he was nominated for any Grammys or anything, but I do know that if you start your career out with an album, like your major career out with an album like that, it's really only up from there, especially if you can keep on making music in that lane. People who make albums that good and they don't get the recognition they deserve, normally they come into the rest of their career with a chip on their shoulder. And that's normally a very good thing for us as fans, because that means they're going to keep on elevating and making great music. That's like T.I., right? T.I.'s first major album was I'm Serious. And he, this is what he had a deal and the label was pushing it and all that type of stuff, but it just didn't perform as good as he would want to. So now for the rest of his career, at least for the next 10, 15 years, the albums that T.I. was making was heaters, bombs, classics in there. Urban Legend, Trap Music, King, T.I. vs. T.I.P., Paper Trail. He went like for the next 5 straight heaters. I call the next 5 straight as classic, but he went crazy for the next 5 albums. So you get these artists and because they call it a sophomore slump normally when your second album is not as good as your first, but when your first album doesn't get the recognition it deserves, Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt got big later. It didn't get the recognition it deserved at first, and look at Jay-Z's career. Kept a chip on his shoulder. That's the position I think Friday is in right now. A good chip on your shoulder to motivate you for the rest of your career so that you never want to feel like that again. Drake is also in that thing too. Even though he got some good recognition, his once he started to put out, once Take Care came, the slander that Drake got made him go on a mission. For the rest of his career, you know what it is. He been going crazy. So shout out to Friday. I think Friday has the best album this year. I think that y'all should go check it out. And that's my best music of 2023. Well, that's my best albums of 2023. Let me read my favorite songs this year. It's only a few. I'm not going to break them all down like that. I'm just going to tell it to y'all in my notes app. So I just told y'all F My BM by Moneybagg Yo, my favorite song of the year. My second favorite song of this year is Search and Rescue by Drake. The fact that song was that big and he didn't put it on his album is like, for Search and Rescue to be a throwaway song is just absurd. It's absurd. It's a great song. Me and my kids love it. We sing the song, pick them up from daycare, drive home, that song's on the radio, We go every single word of that song, sing it all. My 4-year-old and my 2-year-old. They love it. I love it. It's a great song. Friday, Stand By Me. Great song. That's the song I just told y'all on Friday's album that I love. It's a song by a guy named Mark Nasty off the West Coast called On My Mama. I love that song. I could play that song 10 times in a row every time I hear it. I love that song. I think Mark Nasty, I think that's the song that if y'all get a chance to get some type of marketing budget, that's the one you push right there to all of the markets, especially in the South. Push that song in the South and in the Midwest too. I'm from the Midwest. I live in the South. Push that puppy in the Midwest too. I think they'll really feel that in the Midwest. Yeah, shout out to Mark Nasty. Then my last favorite song of the year is Turn Your Click Up by Quavo featuring Future. Super hard. That song is super hard. Like you don't even, if you follow me and you've been seeing me posting stories and I didn't use that song on so many stories this year on Instagram and Facebook and all that, because the song is just too good. Future probably got verse of the year for me. Like he just really went crazy. I ain't gonna say verse of the year because J. Cole went crazy on a few songs, but still, Future, he turned it up for sure. So, shout out to everybody, man. Let me know what y'all favorite albums was this year. Let me know what y'all favorite songs was this year. I'm doing a lot of fidgeting and stuff because my back is just sore. I got up, went to the gym early this morning. Not early. It was like 8 o'clock something. I went to the gym first. Then I took some trash to the dump from my garage. I had big stuff that's too big for the trash can. So I had to take that to the dump. And man, I just been up all friggin' day, man. I've been up all day and I need to get some rest. But so my back is bad, so I'll be fidgeting a lot. Trying to readjust and everything like that. One like egregious topic I need to get into, right? Because this is just so sick to me because I've seen it on like the Neighborhood Talk, I think, or maybe it was Hollywood Unlocked. It might have been Neighborhood Talk. I don't remember, but it was a young lady in court, and I'm seeing her crying, and then I started hearing what they were saying about her situation. She was in there being charged with a crime called something. Let me see. It's called like pretty much tampering with the remains of a fetus or something like that. Some crazy charge like that, right? Essentially what happened is this young lady had a miscarriage in a toilet and she tried to flush the toilet and it wouldn't, the baby got stuck, right? So the baby got stuck. She went to the hospital and said she went to the hospital because she had a miscarriage and she was bleeding, and they called the police on her. They called the police on a young black lady who went to the hospital bleeding because she had a miscarriage. They didn't give her, they might have given her care, but they didn't just give her care and send her on her way because she just told them she had a miscarriage. They called the police on her. I'm assuming they thought she gave herself an abortion. I don't care if you thought somebody gave themselves an abortion. Why would you call the police on them while they're in a state like that? I'll say it in a situation like that, because if I say state, y'all might confuse that with something else. Why that person is in that mental position, why would you call the police on them, right? So this is what happened. This young lady was having a hard time with her pregnancy. She was about 21, 22 weeks pregnant, right? And she wasn't feeling right at all. She went to the hospital. The hospital told her, like they tell a lot of black women, ain't nothing wrong with you. Go home. And then she went back to the hospital. And you know what they told her? The same thing again. There's nothing wrong with you. Go home. So she went home. She was in immense pain. And when she went to the bathroom, she thought she had to use the bathroom. She passed the baby. Actually, no. When she went to the doctor one of those times, they told her, you don't have any fluid around it. Pretty much her water broke way too early at 20 weeks. There's no fluid around the baby. Your baby is dead, or AKA not viable is what they told her. This is not a viable pregnancy. This baby is going to come out of you as a miscarriage, right? And they still sent her home. They didn't monitor her and say, let's let you have this miscarriage here in the office. In the hospital. Let's try to induce it. Let's try to watch you until we make sure and guarantee that you're safe. that you won't die when this 20-week miscarriage comes out of you. They didn't do that. They told her, yo, you're going to have a miscarriage at the crib. Now get out, beat it. This is what they did to her, right? So she goes home, go to the bathroom. She's already known because the doctor just told her you're about to have a miscarriage at home. They didn't tell her you're about to have a miscarriage at home, catch it in a napkin and bring it to us. They didn't say that. They said you're going to go home and have a miscarriage. She went home, had the miscarriage. She did what everybody who has a miscarriage in a toilet does. She flushed the toilet. That's what you do with a miscarriage. I don't know if this is too graphic, it's too gruesome. I don't know. But if y'all don't know, that's what happens. These women, a lot of times they have miscarriages earlier than that. And normally, if they're that far along, the hospital will keep them and look at them and make sure that they're safe so that they don't die having a miscarriage. I don't know what the hell is going on in Trumbull County, which I was born in Trumbull County. So it really hit home for me. I was born there. So Trumbull County, Ohio, sent this lady home while she was 20 weeks pregnant. Y'all know what 20 weeks is. They giving you genders. They doing 3D sonograms and all that type of stuff, ultrasounds. You could see the baby, faces and all that. Not faces, but that you could see the baby at that time. So the hospital knew how critical that, losing a baby at that size coming out. So went home, had the miscarriage in the toilet, flushed it. Again, that's what you do. That's what people do with miscarriages in the toilet. And I'll say that's what people do most of the time they have a miscarriage in the toilet. And the fetus, who was already dead while it was inside her body, by the way, it didn't die from her flushing the toilet. It was already dead because it had been in her body without any fluid for who knows how long. She flushed the toilet. The fetus got stuck. Ouch. That really added insult to injury, right? So the fetus got stuck and she actually tried to plunge it out. So like I said, it's a sick situation. It's a sick story. But the thing about it is, how do you blame that woman for that? What else was she supposed to do? If the doctor didn't tell her, yo, have the miscarriage on a towel and bring it back to us. What do they think? That's what a lot of people have miscarriages at home in toilets and they flush them. The abortion pill that you get forces a miscarriage at home and you flush it. That's what happens to it. If it gets stuck, you have to plunge it, and that's just how it's going to go. So she had the miscarriage in the toilet, tried to plunge it, didn't work. She wasn't feeling right still. She was bleeding, what they say, profusely. Let me see the words. They said hemorrhaging. Let me see what word they used. I think they said hemorrhaging. She came in the hospital, effed up. What was the word? I want to say the exact word they used. Excuse me. Oh, my bad. I'm just trying to skim through it now. It's wow. No, this is really just sick to me. She went to the hospital and she was bleeding profusely, right? She told them what happened. Instead of them being a caring facility and giving her the proper care she needed and saying, you know what, we're sorry, we're going to get you a plumber, we're going to recommend something. Anybody, you don't have to give her a plumber, but if you just want to be helpful, you can recommend a plumber or whatever to her, right? Instead of them doing that, they called the police on the lady. The police came, found out what was going on, and arrested her, right? And then they went to her house and removed the toilet from the house and put it into evidence. I guess the baby wasn't in the toilet, it was in the pipes. So then they broke the pipes down. These are sewage pipes now. broke up the pipes until they could get the fetus, and then they took that to the police station, I guess. A medical examiner determined nothing that the young lady did caused any damage to that fetus, meaning from the plunging and from the baby going down the pipes and all this other stuff, there was no bruising or anything like that because the baby had been dead, and dead bodies don't bruise, right? Because the blood is not going to move to the spot. But they determined that she didn't cause this injury. This baby was already dead inside of her body. Her body just needed to pass it. So essentially, they were going to court to figure out if they were going to move forward with this case. And the prosecutor argued for them to move forward. He said, no person except as authorized by law shall treat a human corpse in a way that would outrage reasonable community sensibilities. What reasonable community would have a problem with that woman doing that? Some people in the comments was trying to say, oh, she flushed the baby down the toilet and went on about her day. No, she didn't. She flushed the baby and then she went to the hospital. She went to the hospital to report to them what just happened. What else was she supposed to do? This is my whole thing, right? You got two major forces acting against her. And I'm sorry that I'm talking about this for so long. It's just such a sick thing that I feel like we got to talk about it. You have two major forces, systemic forces acting against this young lady and us as a whole. Let's talk about it, right? The medical system is a major problem when it comes to the treatment of Black women, especially Black mothers expecting or attempting to get pregnant, or people who had just had babies. The treatment of Black women in the medical industry is just, it's enough to make me never want to go deal with them people. Like, I don't like dealing with doctors, and I don't even understand why people try to get me and other Black men to try to deal with doctors when we see how bad and how poorly they treat Black women. I'm talking about literally, they told the lady, oh, your water broke a while ago and your baby don't have none. And they told her to go home like that. 20-week pregnant. Go home with that dead baby inside you and let us know how it goes. No extensive checking, nothing to make sure that she would be safe, none of that. Right? And then when she came back to report what happened, they called the police on her. So you got the medical industry treating Black women like that. And then you got the criminal justice industry treating Black people crazy. They do stuff like this. We're going to charge you with the crime first. We're going to arrest you first. And we'll find out if there needs to be a case for this. We'll find out later. But the first thing we're going to do with you is put you in jail. That's first. You know how sometimes we hear about these police shootings with these cops shooting people and all that, and people, or just random, any white person shooting somebody, and we're asking, how are they not arrested yet? It's because they do all of the due diligence first. They follow the whole due process and the criminal process first before arresting white people. They say, let's figure this out. Let's investigate first. Let's make sure we have proof before they arrest a white person. When it comes to Black people, it's, do we have probable suspicion? If we have suspicion, we'll arrest you, and then you can figure out why we shouldn't have arrested you later on. You can figure out why you need a bond hearing for the arrest that you shouldn't have been arrested for. Figure that out later on. If you don't have a lawyer to figure it out for you, then you just got to sit. If you don't have lawyer money, you'll just have to sit. Think about this. They arrest us first and tell us figure it out later. With white people, they figure it out first and decide if they should arrest them. Remember, Ahmaud Arbery was killed by those white men? Those white men took the videotape of them killing that man to the police. He didn't get arrested till it made a national story. Months later. They didn't get arrested until months later when it made national news. The police in that area were not going to arrest. Now imagine I go, me, or let's say a group of Black men take a video of them killing a white dude to the police. I'm going to take a video of us killing a white man to the police. Do y'all think they're going to let us leave that police station? They're going to arrest us now and investigate later. And that's what they did to this young lady in this miscarriage situation. They arrested her now and then had a hearing later to see if we should move forward with the case. And the prosecutor convinced the judge and said, yeah, we're going to move forward. But she shouldn't have been arrested until after that hearing. You shouldn't arrest her before you decide if we're going to move forward with the case. I don't think she should have been arrested at all. But if she had to be arrested, it should have been after that hearing. After we decide this is a viable case, let's move forward with it. They do this to black people all the time. Arrest now, figure it out later. Arrest them now, investigate later. That's how you see so many people, so many black people in these situations where, like, how are we at trial with these weak ass cases? It's because they didn't even investigate until you said you was going to take it to trial. Think about that. The police will arrest a black person. The prosecutor will move forward and maybe give them a plea deal. Say, hey, look, plead guilty to this. We'll give you 5 years. You get a year probation afterwards. They haven't done any there was no investigation yet. They just came to you with the offer after you done sat for a few months because of you couldn't afford a bond, right? They didn't investigate it at all. They don't start investigating cases when it's a black defendant until the black person says, I'm taking it to trial. That's when they investigate. That's when the investigation starts. Then we see, so why you see a dude and he like, yeah, I beat a murder case. Like you hear, plenty of black people I done heard say they beat murder cases. How you even get to that point? The reason you got to that point is because they arrested you first and investigated later. When they got in trial, that's when they realized, damn, we don't even have nothing. We don't have a case, but they still go forward with it because it's like there's a chance that a jury still might convict you. So we're going to take our chances with that. And a lot of times they do still convict people. Just think about how sick that is, man. So you got two of these forces acting against black women. The medical system doing them like that, and then the criminal justice system doing black people the way they do them. So this lady is caught up in a whirlwind right now. The medical people are going to try to bury her. Most of the medical professionals in Trumbull County are white people. Most of the prosecution and judges are white people. She didn't stand a chance. Sometimes I wish all black people just lived in Atlanta. I'm not going to lie. Some people be like, oh, Atlanta is not going to fix all your problems and all that. That's cool. But sometimes I do feel like I wish all black people lived here. Because at least you will get the benefit of the doubt from a black person most of the time. If she was down here, they wouldn't have sent her home like that. They would have did every test they needed to do to make sure she was okay. They wouldn't, especially at that far along pregnant. Like, come on. They definitely wouldn't have called the police on the lady after she came back bleeding, saying she had a miscarriage in the toilet. They would not have done that. I could just see the face of the white lady now that called the police on that young lady. I could just see her face. Like I said, I'm from up there. I was born probably in the hospital she was at. Maybe not the hospital she was at. I don't know. But I'm saying I was born. I know what these people look like. I could just see the face. You feel me? I'm disgusted. Man. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I got a lot of work to do tonight. Some of my nerd computer coding, all that good stuff. I gotta do it. Gotta get to it. It's 10:30 at night. I'm tired. Man, free that lady, man. Her name is Brittany Watts. She's 33 years old. We probably went to elementary school together, man. It's sick. Brittany Watts out of Warren, man. Free her, man. That's sick. They got a GoFundMe for her. I don't have a link or nothing like that, but you know they have to raise money for this lady to get a new toilet put in her house because the police chiseled everything up out of there with the sewage and everything. Y'all know anything about sewage pipes? Listen, sewage pipes will let off this disgusting gas into your house. You have to plug it up and you have to do a good job plugging it or it will just, all of the gas Pretty much all the gas coming from wherever sewage is going, landfill, wherever sewage is being pumped to in city plumbing, that gas is in those pipes. And it's coming from the landfill or wherever it's pumping to. It's coming from the waste place, the water treatment facility. It's coming from there all the way back up through those pipes. That's what they have, what they call a P-trap and all that type of stuff, because it stops the air from coming back through. So if they chiseled and broke up her pipes and all that type of stuff just to put it in evidence, like idiots, there's probably the smell of sewage in her house. Hopefully she got it fixed by now, but there's probably the smell of sewage in her place of living. I'm disgusted, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, The Regular Podcast. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you like the video, comment your thoughts. If you want to send me an email, that's regpodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow on Instagram at The Regular Network. And that's all I got for y'all, man.